morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take. Hopefully, we've got a great connection today. We certainly did not have that yesterday, so I apologize about that. But going back to yesterday, a really interesting start to the day. Things looked pretty decent. As a matter of fact, started off pretty strong in the pre-market. But then steadily, the market just sort of didn't want to stay into that green. As a matter of fact, some selling pressure late, and specifically very late. But the Dow was down nearly 200 points, recovered a little bit, and then just got whooshed to the downside to finish down about 270 points by the end of the session. NASDAQ, similar sort of numbers, except that they were starting off even a little bit stronger. Pretty nice move to the upside. It was up about 100 points or thereabouts, did sell off, rallied back a little bit, and then that took a whoosh to the downside and was down about 75 points on the day. But that was a combination of so many different things that were playing out. As a matter of fact, you look over at crude oil. Crude oil's been hanging around sort of in that mid 60s, 65, 65 and a half, that sort of range. It's been a little bit higher. It's certainly been a little bit lower, but it's been moving around along with what's really been volatile, Bitcoin. Now, we've been talking about Bitcoin for a while with some of the really radical moves that we have seen. We talk about volatility all the time, and certainly this has been absolutely a volatile run. We're talking about last Friday, 51,000. It was hovering around 43,000. It was near Feb lows yesterday. I'll tell you what, we'll get into what's going on today, but this has been all over the map. And we've been talking about, we actually were talking about that 61 down towards, call it maybe 49,000, something like that. Well, we've certainly pushed past that 49,000 to the downside. And now we're exploring some even deeper gouges when it comes to Bitcoin to the downside. Maybe that's opportunity. A lot of people are probably staring at it right now. And we know all of this movement and the storyline behind it and all of what's been going on. Certainly, this has been about as volatile an area of the market as you can find right now. So the sector leaders yesterday to the downside, everything was to the downside, seems. You had energy, industrials, you had financials. As we were going through that, the earnings cycle has certainly been something very interesting. Walmart. Really impressive numbers. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, but it actually held in there pretty nicely. It was one of the Dow stocks that really seemed to trade pretty nicely. It was up about 2% for the majority of the session. They've gone after Amazon. They're attacking Amazon like so many others, that where Amazon comes after them, they go back at Amazon, and they seem to be doing very, very well, according to some of the numbers that we heard coming from them. We've got something else coming up in a second from the earnings today as well. But the other one that really stands out for me was Chevron yesterday. Now, we've been talking about energy. We've been talking about a lot of the movement, the beta names and some of the movement there. And again, both up and down. We aren't saying that their beta names and they're moving to the upside. They certainly have big leadership to the downside, but a big behemoth like a Chevron, it's been moving around pretty steadily as well, along with Exxon and some of the other big names, BP and so forth. But just wanted to point out that the movement that we are seeing, certainly in Chevron, and some of the pressure in energy itself is certainly standing out. Volatility, yes, we had some decent volatility. We were trading around 20, closed by the end of the day with that big whoosh towards the end, up above 21, near 21 and a half thereabouts. We did have a little bit lighter volume day though. So not that that is always something that you've got to read too much into, but 32 million contracts yesterday. A decent day, but certainly a far cry from what we were talking about just a few trading sessions ago. We were over 40 million, and then we were up near 40 million, and then pushing back significantly yesterday with just 32 million contracts traded. So every sector today was in the red out of the gate and in the pre-market. And when you look at Bitcoin, and we talked about it earlier, but you want to talk about volatility, you've got it in Bitcoin. We've got it in the market too, but Bitcoin, let's just take a look. So in the pre-market, I'd seen some lows around 33,000. It's down about 21%. The range that I've seen so far today, it looks like about 31,000 and change, all the way up to a little over 40,000 where we started off. So the movement is certainly there. And we've been talking about the movement was in that other area. Well, that's certainly adjusted down, and it's something that I think we're all keeping a fairly close eye on because of all of the conversations about Bitcoin and crypto itself. And it's not just Bitcoin. Crypto it generally is really, really taking on some huge pressure. I got one other one. We talked about Walmart's earnings. How about Target's earnings? Now, Target absolutely did everything that you would hope that they would do. The execution that they had on the quarter was absolutely unbelievable. Once again, Brian Cornell and the C-suite there really leading this company. And we talked about it's all in a lot of the setups. And if you even go back a few years ago when Brian Cornell came there to Target, one of the biggest moves that they decided that they were going to make was all of the redoing of the stores themselves and the multi-billions that they were committed to doing so. Well, not only did they do that, they bought Shipped. And obviously we talk about digital, we talk about everything in terms of the whole pandemic and what they were able to do from the essential side. And now we are seeing, as everything is opening up more and more, now we're starting to see all of the stickiness that has come with that. We've been talking about that for a really long time. How about margins being a beat once again, and now 30%? Now they were looking for a little over 28% on the margins, 30% on the margins. That was a huge number. Same store sales was the number I think everybody was definitely focused on, up 23%. So are they moving in the right direction? They absolutely are. They are absolutely executing to perfection. Got all the partnerships in place already, probably more to come, but they've got so many different levers that they can pull now as you're starting to see the store open up to all of the stickiness of new customers, more frequent customers, and obviously the digital. They really are doing a magnificent job. That stock, even with the market trading the way it has been today, that stock has been very positive and actually pushing up towards all-time highs during the trading session. So really, really a magnificent performance so far. We'll see how it ends. As a matter of fact, you go to last quarter, had a nice big move to the upside, and then during that same trading session, not the next day, same trading session, stock was hit to the downside. That was an opportunity because the earnings were there, the numbers were there, but that was just a reaction where people said, well, that's peak earnings. Apparently not according to what we just saw today. So we start off today and we have a lot of different earnings, and almost every one of those names, for the most part, was getting hit to the downside. You had Lowe's, you had TJX, you had JD, you had ADI, across the board. A lot of those names down anywhere from 2%, maybe down 1%, but significantly, I would say the large percentage was in the red coming out of earnings today outside of Target. Now, down about 400 points in the pre-market. We've been basically floating around somewhere between down 380 and down more than 500 points on the Dow. So it's certainly taken a pretty big shot today. Some body blows. NASDAQ was down 240 in the pre-market. It's not even been close to that since, but it's been hovering around that, down about 200, down about 130. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a quick update right now as we go. We're down about 530 points, 540 points on the Dow, down about 170 points on the NASDAQ as a live, just kind of giving you an idea. Volatility, we talked about it. We had that big whoosh to the downside yesterday. Volatility did rise up 21.5. We're not even close to 21.5 now. Now we're closer to 25.5. We're looking at a volatility index that was trading between 24 and 25. Now we've exceeded that, and we're likely going to the upside, especially from what I'm looking at right now, the pressure on the markets and that movement that we are seeing. We might start seeing those numbers move up even a little bit more on that volatility index, not to be too surprising. Every single sector today on the open was in the red. Likely that majority of those are still in the red. Energy was the leadership role on the downside. That was down about 2.5%. You had consumer discretionary down over 2%, industrials down around 2%, materials, technology, financials, all down. So you take a look across the board. What's really getting hit, some of the big names that we are seeing out there that are getting pushed to the downside in terms of NASDAQ, or at least, primarily NASDAQ, but take a look at DocuSign, take a look at Tesla, take a look at Zoom, take a look at Chevron again. We are seeing some heavy body blows, Caterpillar as well, and then throw in Western Digital and Seagate. They have had, we talked about that, they have had these tremendous 3-day move to the upside because of crypto. Now you're seeing a little bit of a decent, significant pullback in those names as well after they've had 3 great days to the upside. So 2 unusuals, and we're going to get out of here. Gap Stores, number 1. That one's pretty interesting because of the fact stock's trading, call it 33.50. We had a buyer of 10,000 of the May 34 calls, 10,000 of those. We've been talking about Gap Store this entire year because year to date, we have had bullish. Just seems like they've been rolling and rolling and rolling. Anybody who knows Ron Ianieri, he would have loved watching what was going on right now with these rolls, because they have been rolling since the stock was under 20. And now here it is in the mid 30s. They continue to roll, and we're looking at these May 34s. Those are going for about 54 cents up to about 60 cents at the time of that trade. Again, stock was trading about 33.50 at the time. Next, I've got Newmont Mines. Now, we've seen a little bit of positive paper, more and more some bullishness in gold names, whether that means ETFs themselves or individual names. Here's an individual name with Newmont Mining. Stock was trading right around 75. We got a buyer of 3,000 of the July 85 calls. One print, $1.05, a nice chunk, 3,000 of those, looking for some upside to come and giving themselves a little bit of time. These aren't Junes, obviously not May's. We're going out to July, so the July 85s, looking for about a $10 move in this time frame or whatever. And it certainly is something that it's not beyond possibility. We've seen a lot of craziness, and we're seeing a lot of volatility in the markets. And certainly looking at gold, looking at silver, looking at crude, looking at the 10-year and all the rest of the commodities, there certainly is an appetite out there at times for the upside as well as the downside. So last thing, and then I'm going to go. Later today at the close, Mike Yamamoto and myself are going to be having a webinar. It should be great. Market Rebellion. We're going to be talking about the most used option trade that there is, called a buy right. You're buying stock and you're looking for options that you're selling against that stock. Mikey and I are going to break that down. It should be a lot of fun. Mikey is our lead analyst for Market Rebellion. Does an absolutely magnificent job day in and day out for the Unusual Options Elite group. And he really does a great job, along with Chris Sikora and the whole team. But it'll be Mike Yamamoto and myself. Looking forward to that. By the way, I got it on. It's the bull, the Giddy Up shirt. Well, you can get these at the Minnesotan. You go to that site, theminnesotan.com. I've got our own little deal. It's called the Giddy Up package. You can go there. You can look for shirts, hats, shorts, whatever you're looking for. And a portion of that goes to Twin Cities Line Foundation. We have our gala May 21st. That's going to be Friday, 7 p.m. Look forward to seeing you there. Hopefully, if you get an opportunity, or just go to twincitieslime.org. You can go to the events page or the donation page. Either way, there's a lot of great items up there in terms of the live items. We're really looking forward to trying to help as many people as we can. So we're going to try to raise some money this Friday, and we're really looking forward to it. Hopefully you can make it. If you can't make it, you can always just go to twincitieslime.org, go to the donations page as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. Look forward to seeing you this afternoon.